It seems like Gervonta Davis feels that the fans don't want to see him fight Shakur Stevenson no more at this moment. He thinks that Shakur needs to put on a few more good performances to make people interested in the fight again. Tank Davis's team feels that Shakur needs to rematch Edwin De Los Santos. But I got the solution to all of that. We're going to talk about that in this video, but before we do that, make sure that you hit my like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's cook. Shakur Stevenson has been public enemy #1 in boxing ever since he went out there and he put on a non-entertaining performance against Edwin De Los Santos. I mean, the whole boxing world has talked shit about Shakur. They've dogged him. They've acted like that he's not even worthy of being watched ever again off of one performance. And that just shows you the mind of a boxing fan today in 2024. Now, as far as Gervonta Davis, we know that he is the biggest name in the sport of boxing next to Canelo Alvarez. Gervonta Davis has the biggest fan base over Shakur Stevenson and over Devin Haney, but Devin Haney is catching up to Gervonta Davis, at least when it comes to YouTube. Not his viewership numbers, people not supporting him at his fights like that, but when it comes to YouTube, Devin Haney, hey, these platforms, he might have even surpassed Gervonta Davis, but we know that doesn't count for people that's going to pay to watch you fight and come out their pocket to watch you. And that's a whole different story. But Gervonta Davis, he's the one that produced devastating knockouts. And he is the one that people want to pay to see over Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney. But Gervonta Davis, he's had his run-ins with Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson. And at one point in time, if you talk to the fans always thought that Shakur Stevenson and Gervonta Davis would be the best fight that can happen at 135. So for years and years, even when Shakur Stevenson was at 130, they were building towards making the Gervonta Davis fight at 135 maybe the biggest fight in boxing, or at least one of the biggest fights in boxing. And Shakur Stevenson, y'all know, he came to 135, man, he put on a hell of a performance, and it looked like we were inching closer and closer to seeing Shakur and Gervonta Davis if Devin Haney wasn't going to stay around in the weight division. Tank Davis, he went out there and he put on a performance against Ryan Garcia. He got the stoppage. And then it was Shakur Stevenson's turn, and he went out there and he fought Edwin De Los Santos. And like I said, he put on a performance where, to me, he pretty much won most of every round, but it wasn't exciting to watch, and that's what the fans was disappointed in. But let's just keep it real. The ones that was giving Shakur Stevenson all the shit and saying that they never want to watch him and saying he was garbage and trash, those are the fans that didn't like him in the first place because they're either diehard fans of Devin Haney. Most of them was Devin Haney diehard fans. I'm going to just keep it at that. You know, because Devin and Shakur, they was beefing, and so, of course, they were looking for Shakur to fail. But after that performance that Shakur put on, everybody turned their attention to Devin Haney and Tank Davis. That's the fight that it seemed like everybody wanted to see. That's the fight that the media was pumping. That's the fight that was the bigger fight. And at this point in time, Devin Haney, Tank Davis, it is the biggest fight. You know, I will be sitting up here lying to you and telling you that it's not the biggest fight. But it's only one problem with that fight. It doesn't look like we're going to get that fight. Now, I know Gervonta Davis wants that fight. He wants to shut Devin Haney and his daddy the F up. Whether he can do it or not, I don't know. They got to fight and they got to get in the ring. Yes, I do favor Tank to win that fight, but I'm not one of these people that's going to get on here and just go full blast and tell you that, oh man, this is going to happen in it, because I don't know. They got to fight. You know, we can talk about who we think is going to win till our face turn blue, but man, they actually, honestly, they have to fight. I'm sick of debating about shit that's not happening, so I'm not going to do that. But the bottom line, it doesn't look like that fight is going to happen, right? Now, I could be wrong. Later on down the year, they might make that fight happen. But Gervonta Davis wants it, but his team wants something different for him. So the next biggest fight, regardless of what the fans say they'll do and won't do, is Shakur Stevenson. But Gervonta Davis feels that Shakur Stevenson needs to go put on a few more good performances to make the fans want to see that fight again. And like I said, Gervonta Davis's team, when I watch them speak, and salute to the Rise podcast and all of his team. But when I watch them speak, they say they would like to see Shakur Stevenson rematch Edwin De Los Santos. Now, when I hear the fighters and all of their coaches, and I'm not talking about, just Gervonta Davis, because actually when Gervonta Davis spoke on the situation, he said that he understands why Edwin De Los Santos made Shakur Stevenson look like he did. He says Edwin De Los Santos is a fighter that can make you look not too good. He says he understands fighters like Edwin De Los Santos will make you have a performance like that, right? So he had nothing bad to say about Shakur Stevenson. And you might ask yourself, why didn't Gervonta Davis dog out Shakur like all these other fighters that's ducked Shakur Stevenson in the past? Well, because Tank Davis, he's a realist and he understands different styles make different fights. And he also understands that sometimes you're not all the way healthy. You might have an injury, but you still got to know how to go in the fight and get the victory however you can get it. But when I hear Coach Calvin talk about the situation, he was clowning the hell out of Shakur Stevenson. When I hear Coach Kenny and the rest of them, they say Shakur Stevenson needs to get that get back with De Los Santos, right, and put on a better performance. Now, with all that being said, I want to address what Gervonta Davis had to say about making a fight with Shakur Stevenson. That pretty much the fight ain't big right now, and Shakur needs to basically go back and have a few more good performances. Well, the problem I have with that, they're trying to force Gervonta to fight Pitbull Cruz or Raul Venezuela. And I ask myself, who has a bigger name? Shakur Stevenson or Pitbull Cruz? The answer is Shakur Stevenson by leaps and bounds and miles. Who has the bigger name? Shakur Stevenson or Raul Venezuela? Shakur Stevenson by miles and miles and miles. So why is Gervonta Davis saying that, well, Shakur, he got to do this and he got to do that to make the fight bigger, but not saying that Pitbull or Raul or any of these other opponents not named Devin Haney got to do more to make the fight bigger? So my first thought is, that sound real interesting and it sound real fishy to me when you first hear it. But see, I'm a deep thinker, and I have a whole bunch of sense and a whole lot of common sense. But what Gervonta Davis is really doing is he's giving Shakur all the respect in the world. And what he's saying is, yeah, Pitbull Cruz and Valenzuela and all these other guys that they want me to fight, that's easy money. But in order for me to step in the ring with Shakur Stevenson, I respect him on a different level as a fighter than the rest of these fighters. In order for that fight to happen, it's going to have to be a mega fight to where both of us are making mega money, because both of us are taking major risks if we get in the ring with each other. So I look at the situation when Tank's saying that is him just giving Shakur Stevenson his respect that he deserves. So it's either that, the way that I'm looking at it, or he just don't want to take a risk and get in the ring and maybe lose to a fighter like Shakur Stevenson right now in his career at all. Now, with all of that being said, the names that keep coming up for Gervonta Davis is Raul Venezuela or Isaac Pitbull Cruz in a rematch. But the thing to me is ain't nobody talking about fighting Edwin De Los Santos, the one who knocked out Raul Venezuela. Everybody has a solution for Shakur Stevenson, but ain't nobody stepping up to the plate and saying, you know what, I'll fight De Los Santos and show Shakur how to really do the thing. Show Shakur how to really go in Edwin De Los Santos' mouth. Right? Ain't nobody talking about that. Every time I hear the Rise podcast and salute to them, I'm not talking shit about them in no type of way. But how come Ain't nobody talking about, you know what? Tank show Shakur how to go put on a hell of a performance and get De Los Santos up out of there. That's my solution. Shakur Stevenson may be about to fight Navarrete next for a vacant strap that Devin Haney vacated, right? And he'll have 2 titles. Shakur go out there and put on a hell of a performance and beat Navarrete ass, right? Because you've promised everybody that you were going to put on a hell of a performance in your next fight. And while Shakur is doing that, Gervonta Davis go fight Edwin De Los Santos, who is on your side of the street with the PBC, and show Shakur Stevenson how it's done if you can do that, right? And then Shakur put on a hell of a performance, and if you get a knockout against Shakur's last performance, ain't no better way to build a mega fight between you two. Yeah, that's how you build the fight. And now the fans will want to see it all over again. And it will be at the top of the YouTube conversation. That's my solution. Shakur Stevenson, go fight Navarrete or whoever you gonna fight over there on Top Rank for that vacant title. Put on a hell of a performance. And Gervonta Davis, why don't you fight Edwin De Los Santos? Gervonta Davis's team, you got all these solutions. That's my solutions. Tank versus Edwin De Los Santos. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about that. Drop a comment in my comment section. Make sure y'all hit my like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subbed. And y'all already know how I do. There you go, talking that boxing again. And I'm gone.